I'm Frank.
And I'm Grant, and our idea for Field and Flame stemmed from our love for the outdoors and cooking. Based in northern Minnesota, we have such incredible resources available to us. From duck to deer and salmon to walleye, we truly have it all. Field and Flame is a show about our adventures in the field and cooking what we capture over the flame. Follow along each week as we explore something new and bring taste and flavor to every meal. Season 1 of Field and Flame TV is brought to you by Canine Health Forward, because every dog deserves this. All right, good morning and welcome to this episode of Field and Flame. This is something I've wanted to do for a while, and that is to go after lake trout. But you know, there's so many people have the notion or have kind of the assumption that lake trout aren't good, right? They're fatty fish and their meat is pale and full of fat, and you have to boil them to get all the fat out. And that's really not the case. You know, Lake Superior is a lake that has different subspecies of lake trout, and there's some of those subspecies are delicious table fare, and that's what we're after here today. The Apostle Islands area of Wisconsin, out of Bayfield and Red Cliff, you know, that whole area. There's the majority of your lake trout here are lean lake trout, and they are like some of my favorite fish to eat. They're skinnier fish. They're gorgeous. They have longer noses on them. They don't have those big fatty bellies. And you know, those are all characteristics of a lean trout. And when you know, from the moment you catch that fish to when you eat it, right, that really dictates how good that fish is going to taste or how good that meat's going to be. So we're going to kind of walk through some steps that we take to ensure like the top quality. You know, you're going to have the best taste, and it's not going to taste fishy. It's not going to be fatty. It's going to like look like salmon, right? Like these fillets, like, you know, some of them are so orange it almost looks like a salmon, right? Their meat's so pure. There's no fat in it, and it's just it doesn't get any better when it comes to lake trout. So that's what we're going to try to highlight here today. We're going to try to catch, I don't know, 3 or 4 lake trout, and you know, we'll show you what we do once we get that fish to the surface, right? That's really when it starts, on how good that meat's going to taste once you eat it. And then we'll go back to the landing and we'll clean these fillets. We'll show you how we clean them and how that meat is, and then we'll bring them to Frank, and we'll, you know, however he's gonna cook them up, and it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be top tier. Like, it doesn't get much better. So the Apostle Islands of Lake Superior is a very, very fun place to fish. There's a lot of fish, you know, year round. There's always a lot to catch here. So let's idle around here and try to locate some fish on our electronics. It's late summer, early August here. Our water temps are warm. Our fish are pushing deeper, and we're going to try to jig up some of these gorgeous lake trout here in the Apostle Islands. Stick with us. It's going to be fun. There's a fish.
It's almost on like a drop.
Yeah, he ate on the drop, eh? That's a good fish, Busker.
Looked really big.
He looked big on the live scope. He's kind of being, that one was suspended. So recently, like, we've noticed this on a couple guide trips recently. We do some guiding in this area every now and then, and water temps get this warm, those fish like go right to bottom, and like your suspended lines, your lead core, your planer boards, like don't catch anything, and the majority of your fish come on a downrigger right on bottom, and you're not graphing these fish, like they're down in the rocks out here, right? And there's not a ton of huge rocks, but there's enough rocks where they can hide down in there. But that fish was actually suspended up off bottom, and we saw him, which was nice. Yeah, it's another nice, that's a pretty one.
You just scoop, or you got it?
Another pretty fish. I mean, just so many of them are all in that, you know, 27, 28 inch range. I mean, great fish. Not many places you can go and like, that's truly your average fish right there. Just a solid, you know, 27 inch fish. I mean, this would have great meat on it. We might actually keep this one. There's 0 fat on it. Longer nose, orange fins, skinnier fish, and you know, I mean, that's a great eating fish. the Apostle Islands here, again, there's a lot of fishing pressure, but there's a lot of fish and it's heavily regulated. You can only keep 2 fish here. There's special regulations in this area of Wisconsin. So that 2 fish limit really helps for increased populations as well. So pretty much any day, you can come out here and catch a pile of these great lake trout. They're so much fun. So dog days of summer, every other style of fishing is slowed down. Walleyes, whitefish, bass. Everything kind of slows down a little bit in August, but that's really when you can put the coals to a bunch of beautiful, beautiful lake trout. Let's get this one on ice in the live well and catch another one. Now, late summer like this, when water temps are 70 degrees, no matter really what species of fish you're catching, especially lake trout, they're not going to survive in your live well. And this is the time of year when I turn my live well into an ice box. So instead of putting water in here, we have bags of ice. It just helps keep that fish's meat so much better and pure and firm and solid. So really what we do is we're playing selective harvest, right? The limit here in Wisconsin waters is 2 fish. So we're keeping 1 here, and what we do is bleed them out. We have them in the net. Like I got this one here. So he's just bleeding out in the net. So I'm letting them, when they're in their water, they can really pump out that blood a lot better when they're in water. So we bleed them out, we cut their gills, keep them in the net, let them pump out his blood, and then we put them right on ice. And it really helps keep that meat firm, and it adds so much, it's crazy how much better it is, right? No matter walleyes, whitefish, trout, salmon, no matter what you're doing, when water temps are 70 degrees, these fish are not going to survive in your live well. And once they die without cutting their gills in your live well, like their meat's is so full of blood and it gets soft and mushy. Like, this is a way to really enable that fish to have the best meat as possible. So that guy's still got some spunk, but he's about all bled out. And then all we do is just put him right on the ice there, and yeah, that's going to be some good eating. Fish. Fish on. Fish on. That one did not hesitate. That's what you like to see. That's a prime example right there. We stopped the boat not because I saw a fish, but because on my 2D sonar, I saw the right type of bottom. Like, it was the Apostle Islands, like a lot of the structure down here, it's a lot of sand and kind of clay. And then, on these big flats, you will have spots with rock. And I stopped the boat because I saw that rock. And these fish this time of year just live so low in the water column, you're not gonna really see many of them on your live scope. So I saw the rocks on my 2D, we stopped the boat, spot locked us, dropped jigs down, and then we watched our jigs fall on the live scope, and that's when the live scope picked that fish up. So a prime example there, right? Like, well, I didn't catch that fish because of live scope. I caught that fish because my, old school traditional 2D graph. I saw that right type of bottom. We got him at the boat here. Yeah, not a bad trout. Not a bad trout. That's another perfect eater there. And I always say, like, these, oh, did he just choke that jig? These Apostle Islands fish, everyone, like, I think gets that bad stigma of lake trout are not good to eat. And I can attest to that. So, there's some subspecies of lake trout that, yes, they're probably not the best to eat. And those are really found along the north shore of Lake Superior, right? In that really deep depths where those fish live in 200, 300, 400 feet of water, right? And they push up shallow and you catch them. And they have a short nose. They're really fat in the belly. They're kind of pale colored. A lot of these fish down here have bright orange meat. Like, if you fillet this fish and that last one we kept, if you fillet those fish, you show 100 people that fillet, I guarantee you more than 50 of them are going to tell you that it's a salmon or it's a brown trout or something like that, right? Because it's bright orange and there's no fat in it. That's really what the majority of these fish are down here in the Apostle Islands. Great eating. They're just nice, lean lake trout. So we might put that one in the box. It's nice to catch them this size. It's kind of rare to catch them a fish like this that's 24, 25 inches. So we're gonna put him in the box and yeah, probably get back down there. I mean, this is good fishing. I love it. The Apostle Islands, there's always tons of fish to catch, and that's my favorite part about it. So fun stuff. This fish has me pinned. That fish had me pinned. He just went straight to bottom.
It did.
And yes, we're using a little bit underpowered gear, but that's all in the fun of it, right? And we're remaining respectful to the fish. They're not dying because of the fights. And it's just so much more fun. I love this rip and wrap rod from St. Croix. It's a Legend Tournament walleye. It's got that longer cork handle. Situations like this, I can just pin that against my forearm, and you know, you just get a little bit more leverage. That fish took a big run. So much fun out here on Lake Superior. There's a lot of fish, Buster. You still see them in the live scope? There's a pod of like 3 or 4 of them that move through. Matthew just got a gorgeous fish in the boat, and a minute later I hook up here. What's interesting to note too is there were 2 fish swimming, this being one of them, and they were only about 50 feet down. So we haven't seen that much today, but Busker caught one that was very, very suspended, and so was this one. So, you know, once you think all the lake trout are on bottom, you know, they'll throw you for a loop and you're gonna have some high fish. That's what's fun about lake trout, is you never know where they're gonna be in the water column, and no 2 fish act the same, that's for sure. That's just so exhilarating, man.
That looks like a big fish, Grant.
Yeah, it feels, it had some authority when it went down to bottom.
I just watched it turn its head on the live scope.
Yeah,
It looks pretty dang
it
big.
certainly had a, I'm gonna kind of do what I want attitude to it. And this is where you want to have the right gear. Braided line is certainly your friend, and sure, you can get a hook set on those fish. If you're using monofilament, you know, I'd kind of think you're wasting your time. You know, braided line just for that sensitivity, and you know, that no stretch when you do set the hook on them. Busker, it's just another solid like 28, 29, 30 inch fish. Just choke that jig. Just, they battle, man. Like, they battle. There it is. I would have thought that fish would have been twice as big, right?
Right. Every one has just been battle.
But I don't care at all. Like, these are so much fun. So much fun. So much fun. Look at that trout. Got some sea lice on his back. Isn't that crazy? Wow. Lake Superior never ceases to amaze you. Such a fun time out here today, catching lake trout, jigging. You know, we got some great fish to bring home, and you know, we're gonna get them filleted, kind of show you how we do that, and then bring them to Chef Frank. So thank you for watching this part of the episode. Let's get these fish back to the fillet table and then hand it over to Frank. I don't know how you're cooking this today, but I am hungry, so I hope it's going to be delicious.
Yeah,
look at that lake trout.
Man. Yeah.
Looks like salmon.
How'd you get it so pink?
Isn't that nice? That's what those Bayfield lake trout are.
Okay.
Right? It's like along the North Shore, 2 Harbors, North Shore. It's like your lake trout have such like white meat a lot of times, right? But those fish down in Bayfield, look how orange that is.
It's all about their diet and the water temps, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what they eat and kind of just their, you know, nice lean lake trout there. So,
for sure.
Yeah, awesome. So how are we gonna cook this lake trout here today?
All right, so we are gonna do a cedar planked grilled lake trout. So we got the pellet grill. We're gonna place those right on there. We soak those overnight. And then we're gonna use our blackened seasoning on those, and we're gonna make a maple balsamic glaze to put on top of that. So we're gonna cook those, and they're gonna turn out really nice, sticky and crispy, and it'll be delicious.
You soak these in water overnight?
Yep,
Yeah,
just soak them in water, otherwise they'll start on fire in the grill. And just soak them. We're gonna cook one side first, flip it over so it's nice and hot and charred. Put the skin side down on that.
Cool.
Season it, glaze it, and let it go.
So step one is to make the glaze?
Yep, first thing we're gonna do is make this glaze so it's ready to go, and then we're gonna work on from there.
Cool. We kind of have our portable outdoor kitchen here. We have our Camp Chef grill, and then we have our pellet smoker, which runs off of a battery pack. So like you can cook this anywhere, right? We don't need electricity. We don't need power out in the field. We can do all our cooking like we are here now. So awesome. Let's get this party started.
Let's do it. Make it nice and creamy, kind of help emulsify the sauce. We're gonna add this orange juice for a little bit of acidity in the sauce. We got a little bit of Dijon here. This balsamic vinegar, you don't need a lot of it, just a little bit. And then we have our maple syrup here. The maple is kind of the heaviest thing in here. And we're just gonna keep this going. Keep it moving, incorporate all the ingredients and get that butter emulsified in there. And this is just gonna be a super quick, simple, easy glaze. You can use this on fish, you can use it on chicken, grouse, anything like that. Pheasant, it's really good on with the maple syrup. Now we're just gonna let this heat up, get all those ingredients incorporated in there, and then we're gonna move on to the next step after that. So we're just heating this up until everything's incorporated, giving it a little stir. You're gonna get all that mustard brought in there, the butter, the orange juice. You're just gonna keep stirring it until it's all one same color. It's kind of gonna start to foam up at the top. We don't want to reduce this too much. We can a little bit because we want it a little thicker. But if you just let it reduce just a little bit, it'll be nice and thick for the glaze for the fish. It won't run off. It'll all kind of just stick on. All right, now this sauce fully incorporated, a little bit of reduction in there. So it's going to be nice and thick. We're going to cut the heat on that. Next thing we're going to do is get the pellet grill up here, get one of these cedar boards nice and hot on one side, and then we're going to get the fish seasoned, get it on there, put the glaze on, and let it go. Alrighty, now that we've got the glaze done, we're gonna preheat these cedar planks. We're just gonna get a really hard char on one side. Then when that's done, we're gonna flip them. We'll add the fish to that. So we're gonna get these going while we season the fish. Again, just the one side for now. And we're gonna use our blackened seasoning on these today. Generous rub down on these. We're gonna glaze these as well, so feel free to add a little extra seasoning because that is gonna get ran off a little bit. So now we're gonna let these preheat, kind of char up, and then when those are ready, we'll flip them over, we'll add the fish to that, and then we'll glaze it from there. All right, now that we got a nice little char on these, we're gonna flip them over. You don't need a lot, just enough to kind of seal it in. All right, we're gonna lay the fish down here, and then we are gonna put a little bit of this glaze on top. We're gonna do this throughout the cooking process a little bit. So you don't wanna have to overload it. We're gonna do it about every 3-4 minutes. Just a little bit right on top, give it a little spread. And there's a lot of sugar in here, so when it does get on the edge, it is gonna burn a little bit, it'll caramelize, but it'll be all right. So we're gonna close this about 375, 12 to 15 minutes, and should be good to go. While this is going here, I'm gonna talk a little bit about this blackened seasoning here. There's 15 different ingredients in here, loaded with seasonings from basil to oregano. There's some ancho pepper, some cumin, a lot of different flavors in here, which really will pair well with this maple glaze. Works really well on fish. Doesn't have to be a direct kind of heat application. Works really well for baking too. I like it a lot on roasts as well for anything like doing beef roast or pork roast. It works really well on. I like rubbing this down on a grouse or a pheasant, or doing like duck strips with the blackened works really well as well. Walleye strips, blackened walleye strip tacos, super good. So there's just lots of different flavors in here that are gonna complement really well with that maple. Ooh. Do you want a slow-mo on the... Ow! All right, we're just gonna check this. Put another little layer of glaze on top. You can see it's starting to caramelize on the edges, which is really good. fish is starting to bake. You can see it's starting to change colors on the bottom here. It's right over top. Most of this is gonna run off. I wish you could smell this right now. The smell of this maple syrup caramelizing on the grill is just amazing. Now we're gonna check on these, see if these are done. You can see a super nice glaze on it. The easiest way to tell if any fish is done is kind of when it starts flaking. So see that little press on there? Fish flakes right out, you know the fish is done. So we're just gonna pull this off and throw it right on this plate. And the cool thing about this is you're gonna eat it right off this plank. So you're not gonna have to take it off, you're gonna eat it on there. It's gonna keep smoking, you're gonna get all those good flavors, it's gonna caramelize. So you just get really great flavors with everything. So this just shows one super easy, fast way to do lake trout fillet with our blackened seasoning with a maple glaze. So the cool thing about these cedar planks, as you can see here, it really starts to char on the grill, which gives you a little extra smoke. So it's not a smoked fish, but you get a lot of that smoked flavoring with your food in there. It chars up super nice, smokes really nice. It's gonna smoke after the fact, and it just adds a lot of flavors to your fish. Man, here's your lake trout you brought me.
Delicious.
Dude, it smells so good.
Oh,
I wish everyone could smell this right now.
That is so tasty.
But we made it super simple, so anyone can do this at home. I mean, we're out here in the woods doing it, so at home it's just gonna make it that much easier.
Right, and with these lean lake trout, they're so good on the grill. Everyone always asks, like, what's my favorite way to cook a lake trout? I'd say, you know, especially those leans, like they're so good grilled.
For
right?
sure,
Whether it's skin side down on some tin foil or, you know, kind of kicking it up a notch and doing something like this. Those lean lake trout, they don't have much fat in them, right? You get those Siskowets, you get those other subspecies of lake trout, there's just so much fat in them, right? You almost have to smoke them or boil them to get all that fat out. With these leans like this, you can create some fantastic dishes, as Frank did here. Should we try it?
Yeah, man, dig in.
Oh, that's next level.
I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good, man.
Yeah, you killed it. I mean, that glaze, you can taste that. You can taste the Field and Flame blackened seasoning on there. It's there's a lot of flavor going on, and that trout is just the perfect meat for it.
Yeah, no, it's nice and firm still. It's super good, really good flavors, and like I said, anyone can do this at home, and especially big batches too. I mean, you get these fillets, you cut them up, you could fit a couple on there, portion it out, and you could have a good dinner for everyone.
That meat is just so good. People always talk down on lake trout meat, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, man.
It's kind of with everything. I mean, it's just all depends how you cook it, and once you learn how to do it, you'll never turn back.
Cooking it and preparing it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
It's how you know, from the second you catch that fish, how you take care of that meat.
Definitely.
Directly, you know, has a direct impact on how good it tastes. And this is when you're rewarded for, you know, how you take care of your meat and how you take care of your fish, right?
Definitely.
As soon as you catch it. So
Yep, 100%.
That's awesome. That's
cool.
Delicious.
Well, I'm
nice
glad
work,
you
buddy.
like it, man.
Nice work.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let's finish eating this up. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.